Welcome back to the channel. Early morning start for us. We are here to pick up the new 911 996. Great story to this car, the ownership. It's taken a while to put this deal together because it was a very emotional transaction, which I'll explain. But basically, yeah, we're here today to pick it up. So it's all covered up there on the drive, ready to go.
Dad Martin uncovering the beast for the last time before we take her away. So this is Dan, and we're going to tell you his story and his love of cars. Dan, being the usual lad, loved a car, did all the eras, bit of Japanese, and eventually fell in love with this old girl. So this is the story of Dan and his 911 love.
Just left the address in Purley, Croydon Way, London Way. Nice part of the world for London. Yeah, lovely couple. Really good story, as I say, about this car. So it was an emotional sale. It was very, they came out to see us off, and I could see the emotions running through their faces. So, but I know that they know in their hearts the car's with the right person now. I'll do right by the car. I'll make the car right. I'll do what needs doing to the car. I'll make this car a 10. And that's the plan. And hopefully, she's a keeper. I really want to keep the car. The history behind the car is just awesome, and its ownership, and it's definitely got that meant to be feeling. So yeah, we're going to do all we can to make this car a keeper and stay in the Dan's Timeless Classics collection alongside DTC, because she is the OEM version of DTC, although she's a bit interesting, a bit different with this lovely MC interior, the Alcantara headlining, non-sunroof car. I mean, obviously DTC is going to be a non-sunroof car very soon, but this one's factory. So it's a special spec car as well, and it was ordered in '99 by Don Henshaw, and I haven't found out if it's the Don Henshaw who's the Krispy Kreme UK founder. I think it might be. I'm going to look into that. Hopefully it is, because I've actually met Don, and I sold Don a car in about 2006-7 Guildford Audi. So Don, if you're watching and it is you, get in touch. Let us know if this was your car. And you factory ordered it in '99 with delivery and registration for the 1st of January 2001. It'd be brilliant if it is, because obviously we've met. I sold you an RS4 in 2007 from Guildford Audi. So and I remember your business card. He gives you the business card, this guy, and you can take his business card, get this, any Krispy Kreme store anywhere in the UK, and I think at the time he had about 50, it's probably over 100 now, and his business card, on the back it's got a barcode. They scan the barcode in the store and you immediately get 12 donuts free, a dozen donuts. I mean, how cool is that? And obviously you've got to meet Don to get that business card and to be able to have that privilege, which I did. So thanks for that interesting little fact and funny story. So yeah, heading home now. Going to take it very carefully because of the brake situation, but obviously it's a manual car. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and we're coming out of London, so yeah, we should be fine. She made it home in one piece despite the leaky brake line. She's home, although it stopped leaking now and the rain seems to have washed it away on the journey back, so that's good. Facing DTC, twins reunited. These two cars have got such similar histories, and the ownership of this car and my name, and oh my god, this story has to be told. It is phenomenal. Honestly, the history of the cars and the history of me and the original owner Dan of this car. Yes, you heard it right, Dan.
So Dan's surname was Williams, and I bought my car, DTC, from Mr. Williams, so that's one similarity. They're also both GT1 cars. They both of DTC and this car have had a lot of work done, most of their work over their life done at GT1. So how spooky is that? I mean, proper woo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
So yes, so let me tell you the story. So in 2014, well, no, let's go back farther than that. In 1980, there was a guy born Daniel, me, in West London, and there was another guy born Daniel a bit later on in the year. I was a bit older than him, and we both, Daniels, became Dans, Dannies, and we were both car guys. We both sort of followed the same routes, the Max Power routes, the Jap car routes, all of that. And we both ended up falling in love with 911 Porsches, 996s. This was Dan's, Dan Williams, car guy, purist, always wanted a Porsche, got one, bought the best one in my opinion, 996.1 aero kit, non-sunroof car with that stunning interior. How lucky was you, Dan, to find that? Because I ended up with just a black interior one with a sunroof, although I'm going to change that. But yeah, he beat me on this one. He definitely got a better base to start. Obviously DTC is a very different kettle of fish than this car now. This car's very much OEM. So Mr. Williams, Dan Williams, buys this car in 2014, but sadly Mr. Williams was diagnosed with a rare cancer from the age of 1 year of age, and he sadly passed away in 2017. So Dan only got 3 years of this baby. And yeah, you know, the car hasn't lived since then. Father Martin, brother Alistair have both transferred ownerships to themselves. The car's barely done 1,500 miles or something since 2017. It's mainly sat in the garage or on the drive under a cover, hidden away from the world because mum and dad couldn't let it go, brother couldn't let it go. Family just, you know, there's too much of a bond on the car because of Dan, because of, you know, what happened and his love of vehicles and his love of this car. And you can see why he fell in love with it. You can see why, because exactly the same thing has happened to me. Now, how this came about, how did I get to buy this car? Where did Dan's Timeless Classics get involved when it comes to this car? Well, good friend of mine, Keith West, actually started as a customer. Keith was one of the first people to see my YouTube video on Targa roof repairs, ironically, over a year ago, and got in touch with me, messaged me about helping him to fix his roof. Keith came down with his little dog, spent the day in the workshop, and we fixed his roof, and he was massively over the moon with that, as you would be, because most people say, oh, it's the end of the world, Targa roofs, oh, throw it away, it's going to cost you 4 or 5 grand. And yeah, I fixed his roof, we became friends, we do a few meets together. Keith was recently at Dorking at the Vineyard, the car meet, the classic car meet on a Sunday at Dorking, the wine place, and he was in his 996, his Targa. And basically this chap came up to him, Martin Williams, Dan's dad, and said, I got one of those, pointing to Keith's 996, sat on the driveway doing nothing, don't know what to do with it. It was my son's car, passed away, we've done nothing to it since 2017 other than just keeping it going, MOTing it every year, doing any jobs that needed doing, but it doesn't get used, don't know what to do with it, blah 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 blah. Keith gets chatting to him, takes his details, they have an exchange of conversation. Keith then texts me, he says, I know a man who like that. Keith basically does the intro, hooks me and Martin up together, and voila. A couple of weeks since that last video you see, it's on the drive. So basically I got in touch with Martin. Martin realised that I'm very similar to his son. I have the same name, I'm born the same year. We like Star Wars, we like Smokey and the Bandit. You know, we're brothers from another mothers, aren't we? You know, we love these Gen 1 Aero 996 Porsches. Dan, like me, rated it as the best car he'd ever owned, ever driven, after having Evos and all sorts of goodies and all sorts of flashy things. He realised this is the way forward, boys. These cars are mustard. And he realised that. And, you know, his mum and dad realised that there's a home for this now, isn't there? Get it to Dan. Dan's Timeless Classics. He's the man. Can run the story, tell the world about it. But more importantly than that, make this car a 10. Do all the things that Dan would have done to this car to make it prim and proper, make it perfect, take it out, show it to the world, take it to the Porsche meets, take it to the cruises, because if Dan was still here today, that car would be at Stuttgart South meets, would be at some of these Porsche events, probably parked next to that car, and me and Dan would be talking to each other, wouldn't we? We'd be probably going for a beer. It would probably end up being friends. It'd probably be in our little WhatsApp group with the other boys, and they'd be cruising around with us and things like that. So sadly, he's not, but I can do him right by the car, and I know he'd be looking down and he'd be thinking to himself, I'm glad it is where it is. I'm glad he's going to do what he's going to do to it, and he's going to make that car like as good as I would make it. So it is a special car. It's a rare car as well. So we've got to be careful here. We're treading on thin ground. We don't need to be modifying it too much and things like that. We've got DTC for that. DTC is getting more and more and more of a race car, and that's how I want a road legal cup car. That car was always, in my mind, going to go around racetracks, going to go sideways, going to do drifting videos, going to spit flames out of her ass. That is what I want to do with that car, and that's exactly what I do to that car. So, what am I going to do to this car? What do you think? What would you do to this car? If you were me or not me, what would you do to this car? Comment below. Be interested to see your thoughts and see what ideas you would have and what you would or what you wouldn't do. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. So I'm going to try and think like Dan here. The car is pretty close to perfect, isn't it? Arctic silver, MC red interior, looks very much like terracotta. You don't want to do too many changes there, do we? You know, she's got the balance, and she non-sunroof factory aero GT car. She's got the wider wheels, got the GT wheels, got the 285 tyres on the back. We don't need to change that sort of dynamics, do we? But there's a couple of little things, and I'm thinking Dan would agree with me here. Let's have a chat. If you can hear me, Dan, up there, I'm thinking she's a squeeze too high. Now, I don't want it slammed, but when I look through the factory spec of this car, it's got standard suspension. And when you look at a car like that, you think it's a sport package car. It's got sporty exhaust, it's got the cup, no sunroof, it's got all that lovely interior, but it's got standard suspension. I think really annoying. Why didn't you MO30 the car? If you'd have MO30'd the car, I think it would have been perfect. So I don't think she needs to go as low as DTC. But I think she needs an equivalent MO30 drop. So whether I do that with some sport Porsche springs, coilovers to get the rake right, I don't know. But she definitely wants a little bit of lowering. Now we know from my report, my previous video, the brakes are not good. They're in a bad way. So we're going to do all new brakes all round. Well, this means I'm going under the arch, doesn't it? And you all know what I'm like when I get under them arches. I'm taking it all out, aren't I? So let's pull her apart, get her up in the air, get her on all fours, get the wheels off of her. Personally, the wheels, I think, are a keeper. They're GT Freestyle wheels. It's a GT Freestyle car. They're factory correct. I love these sport designs. Had them on my Targa. But on my Targa, I added a little bit of magic. And the little bit of magic I added was I painted the centres of the wheels, and I'm obsessed with centre painting on wheels. I mean, the Aussies on DTC are slightly greyer than the lips. I'd like them darker than that, but these wheels are already refurbed. I know this because they don't have diamond cut lips, they've got silver lips, and a lot of these wheels, when you take them for refurb, people, wheel refurbing companies in particular, don't want to do diamond cutting because they won't guarantee it. It is hassle, one little chip and then you get white spots and they start to rot. So they recommend you just go all silver with them, just because it's cost effective and it's the easier option. So do you know what, that's fine, but for me, I want diamond cut lips back on them. I had them on RJ the Targa. They look $1 million when you go down the road, and it's got a sparkle to it. And then so I am splitting them. I am going to be into refurbing the wheels. So then I'm thinking to myself, do I want silver in the middle? Oh, well, I've done grey on the Targa on RJ, so I can't do that. And I've got this real bug in me for a bit of gold centre wheels. I can't do them on DTC because DTC's got gold brakes. I think the gold centres on these, with the gold badging, with that interior, do you see where I'm going here? There's a bit of warmth coming there, there's a bit of warm there. So a bit of gold on those wheels, not too dark, something light, nice, like wise gold or something like that. A nice subtle light gold on the middle of those wheels with the diamond cut lips. They'll pick up on that interior and I think it'll look magic. Now, I love my ambers, but this car is a white light car because it's an 01. So I'll probably leave it as it is. I would be tempted to just try ambers on the sides just to pick up on the wheel, but that would be just a trial thing. I might toy with that idea because they're very easy to chop and change. Headlights will remain factory other than they need polishing. Front bumper has to be painted, and I'll probably PPF it as well because it's not good enough for me. There's a couple of little dents I want to do on it, nothing major. A couple of little scratches I want to polish out and detail out. I'm going to ceramic the car, probably do, me and John could do a little video on ceramicing that up. Slight lower, the gold centre wheels, and that's it really. Nice number plate frame on the back, proper Porsche style one of Pete Wino's ones. And yeah, you know, just 10 out of 10 it. I mean, the car's a good 8 out of 10. Let's make her a 10 without ruining it, without changing too much of what Porsche did. In there, nothing needs changing, does it? I mean, I love that. It's got the original stereo in there. But I must admit, I was thinking to myself, and I said to Martin, I'll put the original stereo back in the car. But Dan loved his tunes and he loved his gadgets. And I get you, Dan. I get you. This unit is great. I don't know what speakers he's put in here, but this unit looks fantastic in the car. He's done it properly. He's not bodged it up. And it sounds phenomenal. Like, really good. The bass, the equaliser, I was playing with it on the way back and it's absolutely fantastic. I love the extended steering wheel. I'm loving the Alcantara headlining. In fact, DTC is going to have the same headlining as this when the carbon roof goes on. And that's it in here. I don't want to change anything. The only thing, and I know Dan would like this, if I found a set of red sports seats, I would put sports seats in there, red sports seats, again because it's a sports pack car, and if they were crested that would be beautiful, and if they were hardbacks I would paint them silver because I have seen this interior with silver hardbacks and it looks amazing, especially with the little bits of Techniquip and the little silver door handles. I think that would just look killer. So that's the only mod I would do inside is the seats. Everything else will remain. The only mod on the outside is to lower it down a bit, gold centre wheels. I'll have to refurbish the brakes, so I don't know about black with the gold wheels. I might have to put silver calipers on it. I don't think red would work, but silver would probably work. And just make her mint, so she's going to be very, very OEM. So the things I'm going to do to this would have been options that Porsche would have offered, and they would have been things that potentially Porsche would have allowed. It's got a modified exhaust on it, which sounds fantastic. It's got a K&N induction kit, which sounds great, but it's coming off. I'm going to put the airbox back to standard, and the K&N kit I take off, I'm going to do some development work for DTC, because I think then other than that, I'm just going to love it. I'm just going to love it, love it, love it. But the first job on the car is a must-have, is brakes. So I've got to fix the broken brake pipe. So I'm going to just do 2 new brake lines, both sides, front, rear, just replace the brake lines because they were a bit corroded under there anyway. So I'm going to do all the brake lines so the car's safe to drive, you know, properly. I drove it very gingerly on the way home, so then the car's drivable. The discs and that all need changing anyway, but if I start using them, they will burn in a little bit. They are MOT passes. They weren't even advised, but in my opinion, they missed that. They are quite bad, but they have got 1,000 miles in them, so I'll certainly use a couple of hundred of those miles before I finally do it, because there's no point me taking all the brakes off of the car, get the brake lines done, because when I take the brakes off the car, then I'm into calipers, wheel refurbishment, suspension, arms, bushes, the lot. You know where it ends up. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. So that's another day, another dollar. But right now, I don't have a lot of time. I've got too much going on. I've got to sort my AMG out because the battery is so dead that the suspension's collapsed and the thing's not being used. I've got the whole carbon roof transfer going on with DTC, so that's eating up all my money. So like all these things, this habit is addictive and it's expensive, and hence why I wanted to do the YouTube channel, so that I can try and get something financially. Once I get over 1,000 subscribers, I could potentially get some monetary sponsorship to fund this habit, because it is an expensive habit. I'm also going to be inviting patrons to join the page, so that, you know, you can donate as little as £1 a month, and it just helps to get a part, to get a bit of oil, to get this, to get that, and fund the habit. So for right now, I don't have the time nor the money to do much with the car, especially after paying for it. So the car is going to get, sadly, put round the back with the Golf. It's just been put back away and wrapped up for the next couple of months anyway. And then once DTC's roof's done, the Merc's been dealt with, I'm probably gonna have to sell the Mercedes to help fund the addiction, because I've got a lot of cars, haven't I? I've got a little bit of a car issue, haven't I? And then I can drag this out in the summer and get on with it. But what I might do to it before then is just get that brake pipe fixed, so that I just feel more comfortable driving it to a place then to do any work to it, or if I'm going to go get service and it's going to need an oil change desperate. So I'll probably just do the brake pipe, do an oil change. She needs coils and everything, so I'll give her a big service, do the brake pipe, and then just leave it there for the moment. So you can get in it and drive it, but you just don't want to go too crazy or too far. And that'll do for the moment. And then by the time the MOT is due, about September, I should have got all the brakes, suspension, bushes, everything that I think needs doing, and the car will be 10 out of 10, ready for the back end of the year season of enjoyment. Might even give her a little whiz around Goodwood when she's done, but nothing crazy, because we've got DTC for the crazy stuff. This car's going to be Mr. Sensible Dantec. Or when I say sensible, maybe if the wife's driving it. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope you loved the story. Remember, click like and subscribe. Please share this with your friends. If you've got guys that got Porsches, you know, if anybody knows Dan, please comment on the videos and get in touch. Tell me, am I doing the right thing by Dan? Would Dan be happy with these gold wheels? Would he like the little bit of lowering? You know, what would Dan have done to this car? I'd love to know that. So any of his old car mates want to get in touch, please do, either on Instagram or click here on YouTube. Like I say, please like and subscribe, follow the story, see where it ends up, see how it ends up, and watch when it's done, Mum and Dad coming down to the seaside for the day to film it. I mean, to see it and take them out in it, I mean, that's going to be awesome, isn't it? So stay tuned, keep watching. Thanks very much again and again. Please remember, like, subscribe, click, comment, all the things, share the life out of it. Please help me to fund my addiction and my habit of crazy cars. Thanks very much. See you later.